Hello friends, welcome to lecture series on computer proficiency test, that is CPT for SSC CGL exam, presented by W. We are now in the 6th lecture, that is basics of Excel. So before even I go forward, I would like to say that this lecture is slightly long and we couldn't shorten it because we felt that this length is required to maintain that quality. So in case you can't go it in one go, this full lecture, maybe you can take a break in between and try to listen to the full lecture. Basically this talks about everything, all the basics of Excel, everything that is required for exam. Okay, so let's get started. So in the last lecture we have looked at the best strategy to crack module 2 and module 3, that is Excel and PowerPoint. So we have looked at how to learn Excel, how to improve upon Excel and PowerPoint, and we have looked at what is the best way to practice and few other tips. Fine, now let's get into basics of Excel. So what we'll be doing in this lecture is, so we'll be taking up those terms, tools and functions which are just required for this exam, just required for CPT module 2. So it will be more focused on revising things rather than going from scratch and making you learn everything. So this will be more like a revision of all the terms and tools and functions and print settings and some basics charts which are required for the exam. Okay, this is more like a revision, but we'll go through everything in a quick go. Okay, so let's get into the first thing, that is basics. So let's get into basic terms and formulas. So in this small part of the lecture we'll be covering all the basic terms and formulas in one very quick go. Okay, so let's get started. Now we are in Microsoft Excel. Before continuing with this lecture, I would like to stress on two things. One is version. So in exam you might be given either Microsoft Office 2007 or 10 or 2013, but as all these three look very similar, if you know one version, that's more than enough. You can easily handle any other version. So for this lecture we'll be using Microsoft Office 2007 version to teach you all these things. Now the second important point is, if you don't know basics of Excel, if you haven't used it much, please go to the basics lecture which we have suggested in the last slide, watch it, get a fair idea of Excel and then come to this, because in this lecture we'll be quickly running through all the tools that is required. So we'll be going very fast. This is more like a revision. Okay, now let's get into the lecture. So first we'll see some basic terminologies, because in question paper you will come across this, so you shouldn't be like, I don't know this terminology. So the first thing is cell. So any box, all these boxes are called cells in Excel. Like I can just enter a data and just press enter, so that this cell will now contain this text. Okay, so these are all boxes. Next, columns and rows. So simply like our regular day-to-day usage, these are all columns, A, B, C, D and so on. These are all columns, and this 1, 2, 3, 4 are called rows. This is first row, second row, third row, so on. So these are columns and rows in Excel, like how we use in daily life. Next, workbook. So in exam they might give you a question, in question instructions they might give you like open a workbook. So workbook is nothing but Excel file. So if they ask you open a workbook, that means they're just asking you to open a Excel file, that's it. So workbook means Excel file. Next, font, font color and font size. Suppose for example I'll just take this, I'm a good person. So for this text, if you want to change font, font color and font size, first font, so just go here, you will get an option to select any font you want. Suppose in exam they ask you to change it to Times New Roman, so just press Times New Roman, you get Times New Roman font here, just select it. Now this has been changed to Times New Roman font. But very important thing is, if they don't give you any font, if they don't say in specific that use this font and that, you have to use only standard fonts. So standard fonts are something like Times New Roman, Calibri, Arial, are this, all these are standard fonts. There are other standard fonts also, but do not use any fancy fonts, like which you like, whichever is your favorite, which is good looking. Don't use all the fancy fonts because they're good looking, you might lose marks. Okay, use only standard fonts. Next, if you want to change font size, again select that cell, go here, you have an option to change font size. So in exam if they specify any particular font size, select it, or you always just select any font as per the table. Okay, next, font color. So if you want to change font color, again select the cell, go here, you will have an option to change font color, select whichever color you want. I'll just select green. So that's how you change font, font color and font size. Next, about bold, italic and underline. So if you want to apply bold or italic or underline, just again select the cell. You will have the option over here. If you want to apply bold, click on it. If you want to remove it, again click on it. Same with italics and underline. Suppose I just want to put bold and underline. That's how you need to put it. Okay. Next is background color. So if you want to change background color, again select the cell. The background color option is over here. So select any background color you want. Suppose I'll select light gray. So that's it. The background color got changed. Now next is adjusting width and height of column and row. Suppose if you want to change the cell size, so you can simply drag it over here. So that's how you change the width of the cell, or you can even change the height of the cell like this, right? But in exam, if they specifically mention you that the width should be some 40 and height should be some 30 like this, if they specifically mention, then you have to right click, select column width and mention that which is given in exam. Like here they give 40, so I'll just type 40 so that the cell width is now 40. Similarly with row height, right click on the row, there will be row height, select it as 30. So this is how you can change width and height of the cell specifically to a particular number by this. You can use this method. Okay. Now next is alignment. So if you want to change the alignment of this text, the options will be over here. You can make this center align or right align or left align. So currently I'll put it as center, or even you can do vertical alignment, like it's at the bottom now. You can change it to center or top, right? This is how you change the alignment of a cell. Next, merge and wrap. So for this, let me take a table. I have already created a table over here. So suppose this is a mark sheet of students in a classroom. There is a small table which gives marks of 3 students, A, B and C. So here, see here, if you want to keep this mark sheet of students in a classroom, the heading in all the 4 cells, just select this 4 cells and select merge and center. Now these 4 cells have been merged into a single big cell. That's how you use merge and center tool. Suppose you have something like same example which you have taken before. I'm good person kind of thing. I'm a good person. Suppose see here, the entire text is not coming inside the cell. If you want to get it inside the cell, you know how to do it. You can change the width, or you can even use wrap text tool. So if you just use wrap text tool, in the given width the text will adjust itself such that it goes to multiple lines. This is important many times if the width is specified. Okay, if the width is specific, or if you really can't extend the width, then wrap text tool is really important. Okay, so that's what about merge and wrap. Now next is borders. Suppose you want to apply borders to this table, just select the entire table, click and drag, and you get all the borders options over here. So just select the arrow mark, you get various options, bottom border or top border or left border or right border and so on. For now I'll select all borders. See here, the entire table has now good borders. It looks good now, right? So that's how you select and keep borders. You have various options in borders, like you can have different line colors, different line styles, and even you can change the width or thickness of the border, so on. Okay, but for now, if you know this all borders and maybe this thick box border tool, that's fine. So thick box border will just make the surroundings very thick. That's it, wherever you select. So this is all about how to apply borders. You can explore a lot over here, but maybe for exam this should be sufficient. Next is sorting. See, if you want to sort this table according to the marks, like according to maths marks, just get this highlighted cell on maths by pressing tab and go here, sort and filter, and you can choose any of this. Suppose I want to sort with largest to smallest, select it. It gets sorted. So this is how you use a sorting tool, and it's very important to select the entire table, otherwise only this will get sorted. That would lead to a wrong thing. Okay, select the entire table and use tab to highlight any one specific column, and then you can sort. Suppose I want to sort this back with alphabetical order. I keep the highlighted one in this first column and again select sort and filter. Now I'll press sort A to Z. That's it. So this is all about the basic terms and tools. Now let's move forward to formulas. So first, how to use basic formulas. See, for you to enter a formula, you'll have to start with is equal to sign, and for you to add, just click here, press plus sign, and this. So this plus this is equal to whatever the sum is. So you'll have to write formula like this, is equal to whatever function you want to perform, that you'll have to write here. Suppose subtraction. So subtraction again is equal to this 9 cell minus this cell which has 3. So that's it, you get the result here. See, here you can see what formula you have typed, is equal to a5 minus b5, that is this minus this. Similarly, multiplication, again press is equal to this. Now the multiplication sign is this thing into this. So that's how you multiply. Same with division, is equal to 9 divided by, press on this 3 cell, enter. So when you click on the cell, as I told you before, you can see the formula here. For division, you use this sign. For exponents, again exponents is not so frequent in exams, but still just press is equal to this 9 cell, and exponent symbol is this, raised to the power and 3. So 9 power 3 is 729. So that's how you use basic functions. Just press is equal to and do whatever things you want. You can even perform advanced calculations like equal to this plus this divided by this. See, whatever, you can keep on writing whatever you want. So that's how you do combination of formulas a lot. Next, coming to percentage. Suppose there is number 156. If you want to find out what is 20% of 156, you can say is equal to 20% into 156. You get the answer, right? So similarly here also, 35% into 156. So 35% of 156 is 54.6. Or also in other way, you can just select this cell because it already has 74%, multiplied by this. So you can even directly take the value from the cells. Okay, so that's how you calculate percent of some number. Next, if suppose the total marks are 200 and you obtain 156, how do you enter formula? What is the percentage formula? That is 156 divided by 200 into 100. So I'm just putting this in brackets because it's always good to have things which you want to compute first in brackets. So if you just do that, you get 78%, right? So 156 is 78% of 200. Now let's look at slightly twisted way. If the MRP is 60 and the discount is 5%, so what is the final price? So how do you calculate? Is equal to 100% minus this 5% into 60, right? So how do you calculate generally? You do 100% minus whatever is the discount, that is 5%, into whatever is the MRP. That is the formula we generally use for final price, right? So see here in Excel, if you can derive the formula, you can keep on typing and you get the solution very simply. Okay, next, that's how you have different forms of percentages. Now we'll see absolute value. So if there is 10 minus 5, what is the absolute, what is the difference of 10 minus 5? That's 5. But what is the difference of 16 minus 25? It's minus 9, right? And similarly 25 minus 39 is minus 14. 50 minus 26 is 24. But these are all differences, that is a subtraction. But what if we want absolute difference? What is absolute difference? You won't have sign. So absolute difference between 16 and 25 won't be minus 9, but it will be 9, because absolute means everything positive. So for that, the formula is just press ABS and inside you can perform subtraction. So see here, it's is equal to ABS, that means absolute, that's a function, and whenever there's a function, start with brackets, and inside the brackets do whatever you want. Like I want to do subtraction here because it's absolute difference, and just press enter, you get 5. Similarly, is equal to ABS, that is absolute, start the function with brackets, 16 minus 25, that is 9. Again, let's do the same for this also. Absolute, open bracket, 25 minus 39 is plus 14 because it's absolute value. Same with this also, absolute of 50 minus 26, right? So this is how you find absolute difference. Now if you want to see what is the percentage change, how do you do? Percentage change is nothing but the difference, that is the absolute difference, by the initial value into 100. That's how you do percentage, right? So write the same thing. So percentage changes the difference divided by the original value into 100. So there is a 50% change, obviously, right? It became half, 10 to it became 5. So there's a 50% change. Now you'll have to apply the formula in all these things. Instead of again typing it, at the end of the cell at the right bottom corner, if you just put your cursor, you get the symbol. You can just hold it, click on it, hold it, and just drag it. That's it. The formula will get copied in all the cells. So here 16 to 25, the absolute difference is 56% increase. From 25 to 39, it's 56% increase. From 50 to 26, it's 48% decrease. So that's how you apply this formula, and you can use this dragging method which you get at the bottom right corner to quickly copy paste the formula. Okay, so that's all about absolute value. Now let's get into some other formulas which are sum, average, minimum, maximum, and if condition. We'll say that. Suppose these are the marks of the students, marks of 5 students, Ramu, Shyam, Rahul, Aditya, and Praveen. Their marks in maths, physics, chemistry, English, biology, and social are as follows. Now how do you find total? See, for total you can do this thing which we have talked before, like click here, add it, add 64 plus 95. So the social marks plus biology plus English, you can do this way, but it's a lot time taking in exam. But you are, and also you are expected to use sum. Maybe people will even cut marks if you directly do this just addition. You are supposed to use the sum formula. So what sum formula is equal to, there will be something called sum function. Just press sum, open brackets, and drag all those cells which you want inside the sum. So from maths till social I dragged everything, close the bracket, that's it. The sum of all the subject marks for Ramu is 5 and 8. What did I use? Is equal to sum of, from here I drag till social, that's it, B23 to G23. This is B to this is G. That's how you use sum function. So again from here, instead of typing everywhere, just on the bottom right corner there your cursor will change to small plus symbol. Click on it, hold it, and drag it. Okay, so that's how you quickly copy paste all the formulas, and that is the sum function which you have seen. Similarly, average function. For average marks of all the 5 subjects, all the 6 subjects for Ramu, how do you find? There is something called average function in Excel. So just press is equal to average, open the bracket because it's a function. Again from maths till social, drag all the marks, close the bracket. So Ramu got 86.333 marks on average. So that's how you need to calculate average. So once again we'll do it, is equal to average, open bracket, and select all the marks. That is the average marks for Shyam. So from here again, instead of typing everywhere, just drag this plus symbol on the bottom right corner. The formula will be copied in all the cells. Okay, now next, minimum. What is the minimum marks Ramu got in all the 6 subjects? For that also there is a function called min. So is equal to min, open bracket, again select all the 6 cells, close bracket. So that's the minimum function, right? So again, once I'm repeating, just press equal to, you can type min, open bracket, select all the 6 subject marks by dragging them, close the bracket. You'll get the minimum marks Sham got in all the 6 subjects. Now instead of typing all the formulas in all the cells, on the bottom right corner you get this plus symbol, drag it. So these are the minimum marks for all the students, right? For each student, that is the minimum marks he got in all the 6 subjects. Now similarly, maximum, there is a function called max max is equal to max max, open the brackets, select all the 6 subjects, close the bracket. That's how you get maximum marks. Again, I'm repeating, is equal to max, open the bracket, select all the 6 subject marks, close the bracket. So the maximum marks Ramu got is 100 marks, that is in social. The maximum marks Sham got is 99 marks, that is in chemistry. So now again, drag this formula to all the cells. So these are the maximum marks and these are the minimum marks. Now you have to now say pass or fail. See, till now we have seen the sum function for computing total marks, we have seen the average function, we have seen the minimum and maximum function. Now let's see if condition, that is the if function. So now we'll have to decide whether Ramu passed or failed based on the marks he got. Suppose let's say the pass mark is 350 as I mentioned here. So how do you say whether he's passed or failed? You can't simply look at this 518 marks and start typing yes he passed, yes no he failed. You can't simply start typing this. The examiner will strike off this because he expects you to apply formula. So what is the formula you need to apply? You have to apply the if function. So how do you apply if function? Just press equal to again, start typing if, open the bracket because that's the function, and here they give you even hints on how to apply the formula. So the first is logical test. So what is the logic we need to apply? If this 518, that's the total marks Ramu got, if the 518 marks is greater than 350, so if this total marks is greater than 350, which is the passing mark condition, then he has passed, he passed the exam. And remember, if you want to enter word, you have to put it in double quotes. If you don't put it in double quotes, you'll get an error in formula. Okay, so remember it. If this total marks is greater than 350, he passed, that is value if true. So what if the value is false? What does it mean by value if false? If this total marks is not greater than 350, that is false condition. So if it's not greater than 350, what will happen? You have to enter its fail. Again, remember, I'm putting double quotes because it's a text over here, it's not numbers. If it's text, you will have to put it in double quotes. Okay, that's it. See here, it automatically says yes, pass the exam, right? By going through that if condition loop. Once again, let's look at it quickly. So what you have to do is equal to if this total, if it's greater than 350, then you have to say pass. I have to put it in double quotes because it's a text. If it's not greater than 250, I have to put that he's failed. So that's the condition if it doesn't satisfy, right? So if I just press enter, it automatically says that he has failed the exam, right? That's how you need to use if condition. So again, now you need not type everything, just keep dragging it to the bottom, it will automatically adjust. See, now if I double click it, if I see what formula it applied, see, it has automatically taken the adjacent cell, I mean the corresponding cell. Okay, so that's how you apply if condition. So for this exam, if you know all these formulas, that's more than enough. So what all we saw, the basic functions, that is add, subtract, multiply, divide and exponent, and then we looked at percentages, and we looked at absolute value, and we looked at how to find sum, average, minimum, maximum, if condition, and so on. Fine. And you should be able to apply complex formulas using this. What do I mean complex is, I mean combination of multiple formulas, like how we applied in MRP. So this is the formula which you should derive then, right? For if the discount is 5% and MRP is 60, the final price is 100% minus 5% or minus this cell into the MRP. That is the final price. Like this, you might get many instances where you'll have to create your own formula, but all those will be very simple formulas. But just write it in the cell as if you're writing normal maths formula. That's it. Okay. So this will be more than enough. Now let's get into charts. Again, in charts, see, this chart type of problems are very rare, but you get them. So be prepared with simple charts like pie chart, bar graph and linear graph. We'll quickly look at them. They're very easy to construct. We'll see how to do it. So what you need to do is, suppose this is a crop and how much area is utilized for each crop. Suppose rice is grown in 17 acres, wheat in 13 acres, so on. You have to just select these cells, go to insert. There will be an option called pie here. First we'll be looking at pie chart, so there will be an option called pie. Just select the first simple pie chart. That's it. See, you got the pie chart. That's as simple as it. Just select the data and go to insert. There will be a pie and you can just click on it, and if you just select this, you get this pie chart, right? Now if you want to change the looks of this, if you want to maybe put labeling, all those other things, just go to this design. Just go to design, and here there are some preset templates. So they're like layouts, chart layouts. So you can select any of this. So if I select the first one, it is this type of chart. If I select this, see, there's percentage over here and there's a legend and chart title. Like, you can explore all these options, whichever is suitable. If whichever they ask in exam, you can put that. If they don't mention anything, it's always safer to put this type of label. That's the first label, because it has how much percentage each crop has. Because pie chart is always generally represented in percentages, you can do this. If you don't want to represent in percentages, then maybe you can select this layout, because it just mentions how many acres are there instead of percentage, right? So here you can play around with many options, but the basic idea is to let you know that how to put a pie chart. Just select the data, go to insert and select pie and put this to this first pie chart, right? Very clear, right? Now let's go to bar graph. See, bar graph is also very similar. Again, select this data, again go to insert. Instead of pie, now we go to column chart or bar chart. See, if you want horizontal bar graph, this is how you need to go. If you want to use vertical bar graph, this is how you need to go. Just select the first one. Don't select other things, because they are slightly different bar graphs. Unless you are sure about what it is, don't select them. So the first one, if you select, you'll automatically get a bar graph. See, it automatically says rice is in 17 acres. It already drew a bar graph. Again here, if you go to design, there will be a lot of chart layouts. If you just keep on selecting them, you will get different layouts. You can play with them, select whichever is most appropriate there. Again, if they don't really mention anything in exam, it's always better to go with the first one, because it's very detailed, right? It just mentions the labeling, and also the chart is very much clear. And if you don't want any extra details like this series or this chart detail, just select on it and press delete. It goes off. It's as simple as it. If I want to remove this also, that's it, right? So that's how you draw a bar graph. Now let's quickly look at linear graph. Suppose this table talks about your assets over the years. Suppose in 1990 you have 5 lakhs, and over the years till 2015 it got increased to 28 lakhs. How do you draw a linear graph? So for this, just select this data, go to insert. Here don't go with line, because line is not this graph, line is something else. Go to scatter, and select any of this. All this are same, but the display parameters change, that's it. So for now I'll just select this. So it has a nice curvy graph which talks about years in the x-axis and assets in lakhs in y-axis. Okay, So that is how you draw a linear graph. Now in all the graphs, if you want to add any extra details like chart titles or label in this x-axis, for those you can go to layout. Here you will have lot of options, like if I want to apply axis, primary horizontal axis title, I can just select this. Here I can input year, right? And maybe I can put even vertical axis. Here I can put assets in lakhs, and you can play with many other things here. Go explore them. So basically this is again to give you an idea. SSC won't ask this very frequently, but few people will get this. So if you get it, be sure that you know how to draw these three basic graphs. That's what they'll be concentrating on mostly. Okay, it's very simple. So that's it about charts. Now let's go into the most important part, that is printing, that is print settings. So once you are done with your table, suppose this was your question, you finished the table, everything. Now please check the page settings. They would have clearly mentioned what size of the paper should be and what are the margins and what mode it should be. So for all those, go to page layout, and in the margins select whatever they asked. It can be either narrow or normal. Select normal because they asked normal margins. And in the orientation, select portrait or landscape. It's portrait here. So in the size of the page, it can be letter or A4. Here it's A4, so select A4. So as soon as you select the paper size, you get a dotted line over here. So this specifies that if you cross this line, the page gets cut. So you should make sure that whatever table and graphs you have, it should be beyond this, it shouldn't cross this line. So for that, either change the width of the cells or check your page settings, or maybe if they don't specify anything, you can change this portrait to landscape so that you get wider space. So you can do all these things, but make sure this doesn't cross this line. So once you're done with basic page settings, please check whether they gave anything about header or footer. So if they mention anything about header or footer, go to insert, and here you get header and footer over here. Select header and footer, and in header or footer you can put whatever they asked. Suppose in header, if they ask page number, put page number. If they put current date, click on it, or if they ask current time, use it. So you can use anything, but for now they asked only name and roll number in footer. So go to footer, which will be on the bottom of the page, and write your name and roll number. Like I put name over here and roll number as something. So that's how I need to add name and roll number. Now I can come back to the normal form of paper by just clicking over here, which is normal. We were in page layout mode, now we come back to normal. So we are done with header and footer as well. In some questions, the name and roll number can be asked to be mentioned in the starting itself. Anyway, while looking at demo, we'll learn more about this, but that's all for now. Finally, just go to this home button. Here you will have a print option. There will be print preview. Go to it. Check once whether the page is coming in one page and the orientation is proper or not. Once you are absolutely sure, only then give a print. If not, go back, change the settings, get it to one page, then give print. Okay, so this is all about the basics, formula, charts, and how to put print settings. Now let's get into the next thing, that is a demo lecture where we'll be taking a small problem and quickly solving it in front of you so that you get to know everything in a flow. So in this demo lecture now, what we'll do is we'll take up a practice set and then we'll show you how to attempt a question. So maybe the main takeaway from this part of the lecture would be to how to tackle a question of Excel in exam. So that would be the main motive. So let's get started with this. Now I have opened Microsoft Excel here and I have taken a practice set from W's 100 practice sets for CPT ebook. So we'll be doing this practice set in this demo session. Fine. And one more very important thing is I'm not putting a timer here because I'm explaining you and this is a demo session. But whenever you're taking a practice set, you're supposed to have a timer and fix it to 15 minutes and do not cross the time limit. Take it very seriously. Okay, so let's get started. So first, whenever you see a question, do not start off with it directly. You will have enough time to read the instructions at least 2 times. So first, always do that, because first get to know what is the total entire demand, overall demand. So go through all the points in brief. So just glance through all the points, then you will know that okay, first point they're talking about open new workbook of Excel, we have opened it. Second, they're talking about page settings, which we'll do. Third, they're talking about writing name and roll number in the first 2 rows, that's fine. Fourth, they're telling change font size of the cell to 11 and font name to Georgia. So this also I'll show you how to do. And 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all this they're talking something about table. So I'll read it in the last. And 11, they're talking about inserting your name, roll number in the footer and header. Okay, footer and header also we can do at last, but we have a footer and header to do. And in the last point, they're telling save your workbook with name and roll number in this format and also print this worksheet. Okay, so now you got an overall glimpse. There's a table which you need to draw, but they gave you some other settings which are not related to table. So better start off with those first. So if you ask me, I would start off with the last point first, that is saving your workbook, which I feel is very important. And first save your workbook with that template which they give. So I'll just save it as W underscore 1 2 3 4 5 6 if that's my roll number. Okay, so just save it with your name underscore roll number, because that is what the format is given in the instructions. So first save it. Next, I'll go to the fourth point, that is change font size of the cell to 11 and font name to Georgia. So they're talking about the general size. If they don't mention any size, this is the font size you need to follow, and that is the font you need to follow. So how do you do that? Just click on this intersection of rows and columns so that all the cells will be highlighted. Then change the font to Georgia and font size to 11, which is already at 11. So now I have followed the fourth point. So in case you are at exam, just tick those points which I have already followed. So I can now tick 12 and 4 and 1. Right now I would always first see the paper settings. Why? Because once I do paper settings, I'll get a guideline on where to stop that page. I'll show you how. How do you change paper settings? Go to page layout. Margins, they told it's normal. Orientation, they gave it's landscape. Size, they told it's A4. So that's what are given in this instructions. So as soon as I do that, if you scroll it to right, you can see a dotted line that clearly shows that this is your page limit and you shouldn't cross this, so as to not to make it to 2 pages. Fine. So while adjusting widths, I can make sure that it won't cross this. So that's why I first do page settings, so that I get this dotted line. Now I think I've done with all page settings and general things. So now I can start off with the name and roll number on the top. So let me type name and roll number. They told its font should be 12 and font is Georgia. So let me type name as W and roll number as 1 2 3 4 5 6, and they told change it to font 12. So do it immediately, don't keep this for last, because there's a tendency that you can forget, right? It's highly possible, so always do it there itself. So now you can even take this third point also. Now concentrate on the fifth point, that is this row. They are asking us to merge this entire row from A to L and write this big heading, sales of a company. Okay, so let's do that. So A to L, I can see here till L it's there, right? So A to L, I'll just merge it. Merge it is somewhere over here. So if you keep this in full screen, then you will get this merge and center icon bigger. So that is merge and center. I just type the sales of a company. And what instructions did they give on this? Font size should be 16, make it bold, underlined and center aligned. So it's already center aligned, make it bold, underlined, and font size should be 16. So just follow all those. So now we have done with the heading. Now get into the next row, that is the serial number, item code and all. See what they have given about that. Make the titles, change the font size to 12, make it bold, underlined and center aligned. So you have to write all the headings and make them bold and underlined and center aligned. So let's just start off with it. So first is serial number, item code. So May, June, July, August, September, October, then we have total, then we have average, then we have min, then we have max. So now we have to adjust the width. Before adjusting width, let me first make it bold, underlined and center line. Now let me adjust width so that everything fits in one cell, it's not overshooting the cell. So that's it. And see, the page boundary is still, we have some space, so having this done earlier we'll have this advantage, so that we can clearly see where the page boundary is. So now we are done with the header row. Let's get into the other details. So now we have to type all these things. Did they give anything specific instructions about that? They told, see the 7th point, make serial number and item code, that is column A and B, center aligned, and everything else right aligned. So that we can do once we enter the date also. Apart from that, they did not tell us anything. They just told change background color, that is this blue color, which we'll do at last, and we'll have to calculate using some formulas, which we can do after we enter the data, and then later borders. Fine. So let's get started. So serial numbers are 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Item codes is CA1, CA2, CA5, CA6, and from then you need to enter all this data, 235, 544. So you need to enter all this data. So let me quickly fast forward this. So I have now entered all this data. Now we are left with total, average, minimum and maximum. So we need to apply formulas to find this. That's what they give in instructions, right? So let's do one by one. So what do you apply for total? That is the sum function, right? So is equal to sum, open bracket, select all those which you need to add, close bracket, enter. So you got the total. Now just drag it so that the formula gets copied, right? We have seen this in the last lecture. So if you don't understand this, go back to the last slide. We have done all the basics there. Next, how do you find average? Is equal to average, open bracket, select again May to October, close bracket, that's it. Now again we can simply drag this, right? So that's how you do average. Now next is minimum. So how do you find minimum? Is equal to min, that's the function, open the bracket, select all this, close bracket, and you can again simply drag it so that it gets copied to all. And you know how to drag, right? So you'll get a plus symbol when you put it in the bottom right corner. You can simply drag it. This also we have discussed in the last slide. Next, max. How do you find max? Is equal to max, open bracket, that's the function for max, select May to October, close the bracket, again drag it so that the formula simply gets copy pasted. So now we are done with applying formulas for total, average, minimum and maximum, and we have entered all the data. Now maybe we can simply follow the formatting instructions so that this table looks like what they have given. So first is, they told make columns A and B center aligned. Let's do that. And they told all the other data should be right aligned, right? So it's already right aligned. And what did they tell? They asked us to draw borders, and look at borders very carefully. So if you see here, everything has a border, but the outer border is slightly bolden, right? So maybe you can do the same. So how do we do that? First select the entire thing, go to borders over here, so select all borders. So you simply got all the borders. Now to get that outer line thicker, again select everything, go here, you will get thick box border. So you have got a thick box border again. So we are done with the borders. Now if you see clearly, we haven't done with the coloring. From total, average, there's a different color, right? So maybe you can put the same color. In instructions they haven't clearly mentioned what exactly is that color, and just by looking you can't tell what shade it is, right? So do not worry, if you can identify the exact color, that's fine. See here, you can maybe just move it so that you can just compare which is that perfect color. This looks more decent, it looks almost similar, so most probably this is that color. But even though if you do it fine, that's perfectly good. But if you cannot guess that exact color, even if you do slightly some different color, that's perfectly fine, because they did not clearly mention which color it is. Fine. So now we are done with the color. we have done with almost entire thing, but look at here, averages. So in average, if you notice one thing, the decimals are more than 2. So whenever there are more than 2 decimals, always try to get back to 2 decimals unless they specify some other thing. So how do you do that? Just select the cell, go here, you get decrease decimal, decrease it to 2. So it's always good if you can decrease the decimals to 2. So keep it to always 2 always. Fine. So now we are done with the table, and let's see what we have missed. We are done with point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th we haven't done, that is footer and header. So let's finish that off. So go to insert, here you can find header and footer, click on it, and they told in the header you should have path name. So path name you can put on the left, center or right, it doesn't matter. So let me choose in middle path. So here where can I find file path? So here there is file path, that is what they wanted to get on the header. So they are asking path name, so just select file path here. So that's it. See here, I've saved it in C drive, so I get my file path over there. Fine. And what did they ask? They asked to put our name and roll number in the footer. So you can put it in the center or left, it doesn't matter because they did not specify clearly. So just put name, I'll put my roll number in center. Fine. So I think that's it. I have done with the entire thing. So we are done with header, we are done with footer, we are done with drawing the table, we have applied formula, we have given borders, we have given color. So now all you need to do for one final check is print preview. So go to home button, go to print, there will be print preview option here. So again for 2010 versions it will be directly, there will be a print option there itself, you can see print preview, but this is 2007 version which we are working here. So you can see print preview option here, just select it. So this is your entire page, this is how your entire page will print, and this is pretty much fine, right? Nothing goes out of the page, everything is fitting perfectly in the page, and we have followed all the instructions, header, footer, fonts, everything. So I think that's it. So this is how you should go, and you can go on clicking print, and that's it, you get that printout. But very importantly, again write your roll number, name and sign it. Okay, so even if they don't tell you, do that, it's always safer. Okay, don't get disqualified because of that. And so that's it. I think we are done with the demo. We have done everything that needs to be done, but one thing again I would like to stress on is rereading the instructions again and again and again. So that's what we wanted to stress in the demo lecture also. How do you read instructions, how do you get started, how not to miss those important things. That is what we want you to take away from this lecture. So that's it for this part of the lecture. So we have looked at the basic terms, tools and functions, and then later we looked at a demo of practice set. In the next lecture we'll do the similar thing for PowerPoint as well. Okay, so thank you so much for being with me in this lecture. If you really like this video, please do like it so that it would show that you are appreciating our efforts, and please do share it so that your friends also will get to know about these videos, and please do subscribe so that you don't miss on any of the future videos. So we are coming up with many new videos. If you don't want to miss any of them, please do subscribe to this channel. Okay, so thank you so much and have a nice day.